All right, peace and blessings, everybody. It's Monday, May the 14th, the year 2018, and we've put a lot of new documents from PF Free Lazor up on the Year of Jubilee page for him. Some of them are affidavits. In one affidavit, the guards tried to encourage or promote or provoke a black man to brutalize PF Free Lazor and beat him up. And we recorded that in a previous YouTube video, and I redacted portions of it. And that document is now on Year of Jubilee, along with many others that he's recently mailed me. He's mailed me a big package of different letters. This appears to be a 7-page affidavit from another cellmate of PF Free Lazor, because I think the cellmate wants to maintain his anonymity. I'm not going to read his name, but this is an affidavit, and you can look at the redacted document on the Year of Jubilee webpage. And here we go. Affidavit of, we got to call him something, right? What am I going to call him? We'll call him Joe. You know, everybody, we call everybody Joe, right? Affidavit of Joe. Incident of Lazor, July 2013. I attest to the following facts and affirm that they are true and accurate. My name is Joe, and I am a prisoner of the state of California, CDCR number redacted. I am presently incarcerated at Salinas Valley State Prison, SVSP, in the cell block. Another prisoner named PF Free Lazor, also known as PF Lazor hereinafter. CDC number C73482. Number 2, I was Free Lazor's cellmate in the year of 2013 at California State Prison, Corcoran, CSP-COR in cell 3B01-redacted. In December 2017, I approached Lazor just in quick passing to remind him of who I was and to inform him I wanted to speak to him as soon as we were to get off the current lockdown, especially to apologize to him for my violently attacking him without cause in 2013, when we were cellies at CSP-COR. On January 5th, 2018, when the lockdown ended, I approached Lazor outdoors on the yard, asking to speak to him. Lazor did not approach me. I initiated all of our contact because I felt terrible about assaulting Lazor the last time we were together at CSP-COR. I know from experience that most inmates in Lazor's situation would have physically struck me back with extreme violence or worse in payback for what I'd unjustly done to him, and that is the usual standard of conduct among inmates in the prison system. Lazor did not express any violence, nor even anger, but rather displayed only the peaceful and forgiving nature I've consistently observed in him. That conduct is also consistent with his well-known reputation as a man of mature and peaceful conduct among prisoners and in general at CSP-COR and at SVSP. Number 5, I began my conversation with Lazor by explaining that since our incident, I've become a Christian and approached him to seek his forgiveness for what I did, and to make amends for it, if I could. Lazor is well known in prison to be the man of Christian principles and character and of living that lifestyle, so I hoped he might be receptive. He was completely. Number 6, the following specific statements of information are an explanation of the CSP-COR incident where I assaulted Lazor when we were cellies. My testimony in this affidavit is entirely my own and made of my own free will. Lazor did not approach me, nor did he initiate a request for this affidavit. Rather, I offered it in hopes it could vindicate him in some way. My statements have not even been the least bit influenced by Lazor, nor by anyone or anything else. I emphasize this fact in the strongest possible terms because Lazor expressed to me that in his recent parole hearing he was wrongfully accused of taking advantage of some other inmates by influencing their written statements in an affidavit concerning another matter. That certainly is not the case here, and that is totally out of character of Lazor's consistent, honest behavior, I've come to know. Number 7, I feel I know Lazor quite well in terms of his honesty. He meticulously goes the extra mile as a sort of personal trademark to be scrupulously honest, reliable in total integrity, and forthright. Someone who can be counted on in all situations for truthfulness and sound judgment. Lazor's exceptional honesty and integrity, along with living consistently by Christian principles in his daily conduct, is well known to stand out from the crowd among inmates in general. I talked to many who confirm this absolutely as a general consensus. Additionally, every one of my many personal interactions I've had with Lazor and my many observations of him going about his business confirm this opinion without exception. Lazor is known among the prison population in general as a very unusual prisoner who never breaks his word, who is patient and tolerant of others, and who is helpful to them, while completely trustable to be honest, fair, and above board in his dealings with everyone. Number 8. I did a prior affidavit in the past for Lazor about a totally different subject from 2013 in which Lazor helped me to omit irrelevant, excess details to refine my grammar and assist in legal-like formatting. In doing so, he was very careful at all stages to not influence my statements whatsoever, being careful to repeatedly double and triple check what I was meaning to state. He stressed the point most strongly that he would refuse to participate in anything that was less than totally accurate and truthful. He was very adamant about this, very insistent, both in the prior affidavit assistance and in regarding to this present one. Both in the past and now, I had thoroughly read and agreed with the accuracy of every word of my affidavits, I myself insisting on 100% accuracy before I would sign them, then and now. Number 9. Lazor has shown me from his meticulously kept records that it was from the aforementioned dates at CSP-COR that we were cellies up until my assault on him on that date, and I believe those dates to be accurate. At the time of my physical attack on Lazor, I was going through some very exceptionally stressful events in my life. I was on heavy psych medications which were adversely affecting my behavior, but, and I stress this most forcefully, my perception and recollection of events I've detailed here and were and remain very clear. Details that were foggy to me, I've omitted from this affidavit. At the time I assaulted Lazor, I was in a blind rage from repeatedly being denied a cellie I kept telling the COs, correctional officers, I wanted to be with. Besides some other very unusual added stressors, Officer Holguin and others confirmed to me that they knew I was in prison for a violent murder of someone close to me, and I kept telling them it might happen again if they were to make me go back in the cell with Lazor. They nonetheless kept refusing my request, acting as if to prod me to carry out that threat on Lazor. My assault on Lazor didn't have anything to do with anything he did to me. He had not provoked me in any way. He had not contributed in any way to incite or affect my conduct against him. It wasn't about him. He just happened to be an available target and a completely innocent victim of my violent behavior. I was very agitated for things that had nothing to do with him. Lazor always treated me very well at all times with kindness and respect, including on that day of the assault. He also had the opportunity to strike me back, but he did not, nor did he attempt to retaliate in any manner, even to this day. Number 11. On the day of the assault, CO Holguin, our main building floor officer, kept refusing to make my requested cell move, which I asked for many times previously, and about 6 times on this date. In that course, I asked him to let me see my psych clinician repeatedly, and he kept refusing me. I told him I was suicidal and therefore he must move me. He kept refusing this as well, telling me to get the hell out of here and similar rebuffs. As I persisted about 6 times going back to the medication line where he was standing, he eventually said I don't get to choose cellies on an SNY yard, that my only chance was to go back to the cell with Lazor and go handle whatever problems that would cause with me and Lazor. That phrase in the context is well known in prison jargon to mean to duke it out in a fight. As I finally gave up arguing and turned back to the cell, I said to Holguin, I'm going to fuck up Lazor, meaning to violently attack him. Holguin did not intervene to stop me or even dissuade me. Number 12. I impulsively felt I had no choice. I made a beeline back to my cell, where Lazor was standing about 2 feet inside the door with his right side and back to me, apparently using the sink or urinating in the toilet. I had just hauled off and sucker punched him in the face and head very hard before he knew what hit him. At that time, I outweighed Lazor by over 100 pounds and am about 3 inches taller than him. I immediately swung again 2 or 3 more times. I think I hit a cup full of liquid, which went flying. As Lazor was falling down, he knocked something to the floor with his fall, which I later learned was his TV that hit the floor. 13. I immediately turned and laid on the floor on my stomach just outside the cell and surrendered my hands behind my back, expecting to be handcuffed. But I never was, not at this time. Holguin and one or more other COs were standing right in the middle of the day room facing toward our cell, talking to each other and to a medical tech man, who we referred to as MTAs. When I committed the assault on Lazor, I cannot imagine that they could possibly have not seen and heard the event revealing that I was the perpetrator without cause, and that Lazor didn't respond with violence or even self-defensiveness, given their proximity to our cell. None of the staff pushed their alarm buttons at that time, as they were required to do for all such incidents, and I've never seen a case where they didn't do so except here. They may have done so later, but they didn't press their alarms at this time. Number 14. The COs had me get up off the floor and walked me away from the assault scene without handcuffing me up. That's generally unheard of in such incidences. Holguin kept repeating comments and questions to me such as, "What did Lazor do to you? Has Lazor been molesting you? Has he been sexually touching you?" At some point, I volunteered the information that I had assaulted Lazor, but all the COs ignored that, indicating it wasn't in the script they wanted to hear. I asked what happened to Lazor as a result of my bludgeoning, and Holguin said, in essence, "Don't worry about Lazor, we're taking care of him. We've cuffed him up and put him in the shower to roll him and his property up to go to the hole where he belongs," and similar comments. Holguin said Lazor should be fucked up because he was a child molester and did awful crimes to little children, and similar statements. However, I have verified that Lazor has never had any kind of history of molesting children nor of sexual crimes. Holguin said this right in front of other officers so they could hear it, appearing to want to influence them to treat Lazor with special abuses that they had usually reserved for child molesters. Some of these comments were made by Holguin. I was taken to the program office and others after I returned from there, which transpired as follows. Number 15. After this banner with the COs, I was taken to the program office. There they put me in handcuffs very briefly to speak with the sergeant. I was suddenly being treated with great respect and compassion as someone deserving of a medal. The custody staff there were joking in a big way, referring to me as Holyfield, the world champion boxer, because of how I had decked Lazor and knocked him to the floor. It was like they were having a party over it, in boisterous laughter, calling me Holyfield over and over. They made comments to me and asked me questions that seemed to be coaxing me to badmouth Lazor with made-up accusations and false derogatory comments, and to get me to lie and say Lazor had assaulted me, so they could send him to the hole and trash and take his property. But I did not give in to it. All right, we got a phone call in the middle of reading that, and I'll pick up again. But I did not give in to it. The sergeant asked me where I wanted to move to. I told them where I wanted to move to, and they moved me there immediately. As soon as I walked back to the cell block without being cuffed up, I felt that I was being rewarded for busting up a good person for no reason, and that he was being punished for doing nothing wrong. For starters, being locked in the shower as a disciplinary measure for hours while Holguin and the other staff there tried to get him sent to the hole. Although Lazor hadn't done anything wrong, nothing at all, when I kept asking Holguin what was going to happen to him, he just kept telling me, don't worry, we're going to take care of Lazor. With disciplinary write-ups, going to the hole, having his property looted, and many other punishments implied, which normally accompany such special project targeting. I never seen another prisoner treated this way, and Lazor always behaved as a mature model prisoner who just wanted to be left alone to do his legal work, his songwriting, his Christian ministry work, and other very constructive activities most prisoners don't do. Back at the cell block, CO Holguin kept badmouthing Lazor to me which I believed to be against CDCR policy for a CO to be privately sharing the private information about one inmate with other inmates. Mr. Hoagland went on and on, saying things like, Lazor makes shit up, to constantly file CDC 602 complaints and lawsuits, that Lazor was a child molester who terribly abused a bunch of little children, that he, Hoagland, didn't want an inmate around him or in his building who causes so much trouble as Lazor does, though I'd never seen Lazor do any such things. Hoagland informed me that he and other custody staff had been talking to Lazor's psych clinical staff and his counselor to join in Hoagland's activities to bring adverse consequences to Lazor. 16. Right after my assault on Lazor, the COs who were present in the cell block, most aggressively Mr. Hoagland drew the MTA into their circle of hostility and accusations against Lazor. He seemed to be very eager to join in what the COs wanted him to do against Lazor. This MTA, Mr. Alvarado, was present near the middle of the day room, but slightly closer to our cell and facing toward our cell when I committed the assault. I don't see how he could not have seen and heard my actual battering on Lazor and his fall to the floor from where he stood. After I returned from the program office to the cell block, Alvarado had already left the cell block. Number 17. At no time related to this incident was any kind of medical examination performed on me. To my knowledge, this is unheard of in the CDCR. In contrast to standard CDCR protocol, in all other cases I've ever heard of regarding any such assault or battery, even of a much lesser magnitude than this one. Whether an inmate is the victim or the perpetrator, CDCR protocol has always required a medical examination of all involved inmates and even all thought to maybe be involved in any such incidences that I've ever heard of, and I know of many. I had a significant cut on my knuckle from striking Lazor's head very hard. No one ever asked to examine or even look at my hands and nor any other part of my body, so the cut was never recorded in any CDCR records. Several days after the assault incident, a CO saw the fresh gash on my knuckle and asked about it, but the matter was brushed off and never followed up on further by anyone. Nothing more was said of it to me. Number 18. I was never issued a CDC 115 rule violation report, RVR, for my assault on battery on Lazor. That was never even suggested by any CO or the sergeant. The idea of it was never brought up in my presence. I was not even sided with nor threatened with a lesser 128B mild misconduct chrono. The very notion of writing me up for misconduct was never brought into the conversation by any staff involved in this matter. Essentially, staff instead rewarded me for my assaultive action, giving me the cell move and cellie I wanted. All the involved staff treated me very nice after I committed the assault. Number 19. Prior to this incident, I observed many times that a different COs in our cell block, especially CO Hoagland, had been relentless in constantly abusing Lazor as an almost daily event, sometimes many times a day, unlike I've ever seen of any other inmate's treatment. I witnessed dozens of especially abusive incidents by them against Lazor when they weren't treating any other inmate that way, and I never saw Lazor respond similarly back to them. It wasn't unusual for other inmates to act abusively to these COs who still didn't treat them badly like they constantly did to Lazor. They tore Lazor's cell up so many times I lost count. When Lazor and I were cellies, they trashed the cell. They never bothered any of my property. They clearly targeted only Lazor's property. They would wreck things, destroy things, tear apart Lazor's property, and take items that belonged to him. During all of this, I never seen Lazor do anything wrong. He was strict and consistent to not violate any rules or laws, and to obey all staff's orders made to him, however impressive and selective they were. I couldn't see how he could put up with it without going off. Many other inmates witnessed the shocking behavior by the guards unique to Lazor, and commented on it. 20. As for me, I have mental health problems and needs. During the period I was assaulted, I was diagnosed as bipolar and manic depressive and was taking medications for those conditions, both then and now. Despite mental and behavioral problems, I've been of completely sound mind in terms of my clarity and recollection of all facts stated in this affidavit. As to any details that I remember only vaguely or am not sure of, I've omitted them from this affidavit. Mr. Lazor assisted me with getting this written out because my writing is shaky, and he helped me word it more coherently than I'm able to do on my own. He helped me cut down my ramblings and some of my excessive details and correct some spelling errors, but he and I both have been very careful and adamant to make sure that he did not influence nor taint the facts I had to say, which are the truthful depiction of all events addressed herein accurately and honestly. Lazor met with me several times to assure that everything in this affidavit was what I said and meant according to my personal knowledge of the facts as I've conveyed them to him. I am also adamant as to total accuracy and have insisted from the start of this that I will not sign it unless it is totally truthful and accurate as to what I know and clearly remember to be true, the way it happened. I affirm, subject to penalties of perjury, that all of the foregoing statements of fact are true and totally accurate, based on my personal knowledge and executed of my own free will, uninfluenced by anyone or anything else. This affidavit made this 15th day of January 2018 in the county of Monterey, California, dated January the 15th, 2018. Wow, this was signed, this was done this year. This is a very, very powerful affidavit. It shows that Lazor has been targeted by the guards who absolutely hate him. If you're asking yourself, why do the guards always target Lazor? I'm here to tell you that it's because he's such a outspoken and Christian. Because he shines the light of Christ everywhere he goes. The satanic guards within the prison system hate his guts, and they want to break his will. And you can see this in the Stanford prison experiment. God bless you guys. Have a great day.